All right, we're live. Sorry, but there's a little technical difficulty there. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Modern Dating. This is episode 6. I feel like we've been doing this a lot longer, but this is only the sixth time we've done this. So, um, welcome back. Got my esteemed co-host TC here after a rip-roaring TFPOV last night. So he and I were chatting a little bit today on some of the stuff we wanted to talk about. And again, like this is why I like doing these Monday shows. So if you guys like what we're doing here on the Tuesday show, watch the Monday show, catch up on some of that stuff because it's an opportunity for us to go back and debrief and talk about some of the stuff that we heard and talked about without women like over talking us and interrupting us and all that fun stuff that we get sometimes. So, you know, interesting show. I think that I kind of wrote some topics up top, but we were kind of chopping this up today and I had this sort of epiphany last night. Maybe not an epiphany, but we hear these women talk a lot about how they want to be heard and they want to communicate. They want to be, you know, essentially what I keep hearing from women week in and week out is that I will go along with my man and what he says as long as I already agree with it. But if it's not something that I want to do, or if it goes against what I want to do, I'm not going to listen. And, you know, it's super convoluted, super complex. And I guess my takeaway from that is you as a man, you have one of two options basically. You can either be the kind of guy who is going to be stuck negotiating and arguing and trying to make her feel better and trying to explain and walk her through every single decision you make and why. Because that's one of the things that brought up. Her name was Alexis, I believe. And she's like, well, if you're going to tell me no, you're not allowed to tell me just no. You have to, explain why, help me understand. And I'm just like, who has time for this? Every time I make a decision that you don't agree with, I have to explain it to you and like sit you down like a baby and tell you why it's the decision. So you either do that, you spend your time, you toil with women that you're dating and doing all that, or you just become that guy to the point where your word is law and she just doesn't ask questions for the most part. Like, she will basically, maybe there's a clarifying question, or maybe she'd be like, oh, help me understand. But she's not going to she's not going to fight back with you. She's not going to say, well, it doesn't make sense to me. And we're not going to do that because I don't get it. Like, so it's going to be work either way. I think guys just have to pick which one. But I think we're seeing more and more women that are just unwilling to just listen to this guy they're in a relationship with, which again raises a question. And I'm doing that thing where I'm just like peppering you with stuff like I open every show with. But, these women are choosing men they don't even listen to. And, what is that, right? So I don't know, man. What's your kind of takeaway with some of that stuff that we were talking about today?
Well, I think and I can't remember if we talked about it on this show or if I was talking about it with some guys in the community on one of my private calls. But like the numbers game that men have to play nowadays, like especially if you want kids, or if you're foolishly looking for a long-term relationship and you don't want kids, is massive. Like we're talking, if you get 100 matches on a dating app, like maybe 10 of them are enthusiastic if you're like a top shelf guy. And of those 10 that are enthusiastic, maybe one of them is worth like seeing for more than a short period of time. And even though that one, like I think the chance that they are this woman that will allow you to lead them is still low. We have a huge numbers issue. And I think part of this is just because the sheer percentage of women that are so bought into modern feminist ideas. And, it's like the idea of turning, like women love, like they know they love turning their brain off when they're with a man, but they like can't fucking relinquish this because the programming on them is too powerful. And then the other, another side of this that you just brought up, like, why are these women with men that they don't want to listen to? And I think a lot of it is like the men they would listen to aren't interested in them. So like I haven't met many men that are like virtuous, strong, masculine men that do what's right, that do want something serious, that want children, and that will tell a woman no, that are okay with a woman that has a lot of tattoos. Like just that. And it's like 75% of women under 30 have at least one tattoo in the West. So when you add the tattoos and like the other shit, like the photos on Instagram, and then like also they're focused on their making money and being successful. When you add all this stuff in, it's like the guys that they would like be a kept woman for are not going after them. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Yeah, I thought I had a third thing, but maybe not.
I thought one of the things that was interesting too last night. So we had Celine, who I'm just looking down at my notes here, like 47, government job. Her story like was pretty wild. I mean, like she said that she was raising her son for 8 years and she was just getting back into the dating pool. Her son was a product of basically a one night stand, even though it was a guy that was like kind of waiting in the wings for a little while. But before that, in her mid 30s, she was apparently with like the guy of her dreams. They broke up for some reason. And then she immediately jumped into bed with this other guy, got knocked up. And then he said, marry me or I will not be in your kid. This is something that I think was interesting. He was basically like, marry me or I'm not going to be in the kid's life. I'm not going to be around. And she said no. And she goes, well, he kind of called the bluff, and it took the guy 8 years to meet the kid. And, on one hand, she would say something that was super smart and she could actually understand some of the concepts we talked about, which is pretty rare if you guys watch the show. But two, she also was just like a perfect example of sort of the stuff we're talking about. Like you brought up a great example where you were like, the kind of guy that you want is going to say, like, your son is a pussy and like we need to put him in jujitsu. And she wanted to fight you on that. And, she's like, well, no, like, I want to be protective of him. And she even said herself, like, he's a mama's boy. Like, he doesn't even know how to, I know, I'm sure she was being facetious on this, but like, he's going to do the dishes. Like, he doesn't even know how to turn on the sink. So, and it's just like, we're watching this stuff unfold in front of our very eyes, and it's coming from the horse's mouth directly. And so anybody that thinks that there's not an issue with young men and young boys being raised by women who are essentially defective men that are crippling them for life just because they will not relinquish their happiness and get married to a guy that they don't really like that much. I mean, no wonder that these kids are growing up and they have no chance. They got no, there's just no hope for him. I mean, my God, the guy's 8 years old. Like, this is prime. This is the time where that kid needs a dad. This is the time where he should be getting into athletics and getting into sports. He's not a toddler anymore. He needs to have this masculine, leadership, and it's not going to come from an uncle, and it's not going to come from the grandfather is no longer part of the picture now, but like, kids need their dad. And it's just crazy to me that these women will deprive their children of the most healthy upbringing possible just because they don't like the guy, or they made a bad decision and like got knocked up by him.
Yeah, she was she was interesting. And so like the situation with the father, she was with a guy long term, amazing guy. They took a break or something, right? Like they got into it, arguing, whatever, split up. She went and, like, obviously this is what women do because they're like, oh, this man doesn't want me. I feel bad. So they want to get validation from a new man to make sure, that like to get the validation that they are a desirable woman. So
yeah,
like,
I'm not the problem.
Women,
yeah,
women rebound super fucking fast and hard because like they're looking for this validation. But I wonder if like we have his side, her side, and the truth, right? I wonder if and I'll get into why I think this might be the case as well. If this guy was like, we need to be serious and be a family, and like you have to like stay home and stop focusing on your career, and maybe also like you can't see any other men and be a wild party girl anymore, and she was like, fuck that. And like that's really what the whole story was, right? Because that makes a lot more sense to me, right? He's like, if she's going to be at the bar dancing with other men and getting drunk, I'm not being around his dad, staying at home with the kid like a fucking clown. Because that's totally reasonable, makes a lot more sense than whatever this guy is getting women pregnant to try to get married, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me anyways.
Right. Zero.
But the other thing that she said, and like for the people watching now, I don't point the women's face at things too much on the ladies show. I just think it's unproductive. It should be fun. We should be kind of exposing some things. But like the gotchas, I think it just makes women combative, and then you're way less likely to get what you want to get out of it. But she said something that I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole because I knew where that's going to go, which was she said something along the lines of, I never was interested in marriage until I had my son. And so I think like potentially the things she learned after she had her son when he was, a baby, when he was 1, 2, 3 years old, maybe like if this guy hadn't gotten married to another woman, she would have been trying to pursue him, right? Like maybe this shifted her and she was like, oh shit, there's something much more important and much more fulfilling than going out and partying, getting attention from men and like crushing it in the corporate world. And I think that's like why she's looking for something different now. And I've seen this a lot with single moms, like the woman they were before they had a child or multiple children is very different. And like I've met a lot of single moms that like having a kid and having it with a guy that's also like, makes no money and they're struggling. Like this almost like pushes them into the red pill a bit, where it's like when they were younger, they were like looking for just Mr. Exciting. And then like Mr. Exciting gets realized. And it's not necessarily like the difference between alpha seed and beta need, but like it almost shows them, oh shit, masculinity actually can be good. It's not always toxic. And I wish I had some in my life. And why did I make this stupid decision? Because men don't want me now. So I've seen this a lot. And I think it's like, it's so much mind fuck for these women that like they never really figure out this is exactly what's going on in their head, but you can see like the hint of it, right? Like dark magic leaves traces or whatever the fuck, man. Because I've seen this where like women are like, I don't need no man, and then they have a son, become a single mom, fuck you to the dad, he's out of the picture, and then the son is 13, and they're like, oh shit,
oh no,
I can't do this. Now it's not a huge percentage of single moms, but I've seen this more amongst single moms than like the single woman population. So I think she had one of those moments where she was like, wouldn't it be nice to just be at home with the kids, with some chickens, hanging the clothing out. My husband comes home from work and gives me a kiss on the cheek and goes and rough houses with the kids. And instead she's getting up at fucking 4 a.m, taking the baby to family member's house, going to work, like all this shit. Because before she had the child, she was always sold like, this is what you should do, right? Like, go have fun, go party, don't settle down, men ain't shit, go get the bag, go be successful. And like once she had her child, it triggered something, right? Where it triggered the nature part to fight against the nurture a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever find the answer for this, but it's like it's one of those things where like the whole like single mom thing or it's like there's not really a nice way to say it. There's not really a nice way to say that guys who you want don't want kids from other men. There's really just like not a nice way of saying it. And it's kind of one of those things that's irreversible. It's like, oh, it's like guys don't like women with tattoos. Like, oh, I can get them removed. Or guys, I mean, there's some things that are just straight up irreversible. But I do wonder why, if there's even a way to say, look, like for the love of God, like if you care about your child and their well-being and them being a well-adjusted person as much as humanly possible, then it will behoove you, for the sake of your kids, to try everything you can to reconcile and to find a way to be with your child's father. And, I've talked to women about this too before, and it's just, you know, and it's always like it's always BS, like we grew apart or we just changed, or it's just like really it's like the same thing. Like she just got bored and he just became like a doormat, or he became like the fat dad and the lazy boy or whatever. But I mean, it's so funny to me how I hear women posturing all the time. Like I'd go play in traffic for my kids. I'd literally we use this last night. I'd throw myself in front of a bus for my kids. Like, yeah, but you won't marry a dude that you like kind of get annoyed by. Or this dude would literally like take a bullet for you, but he's not allowed to tell you what to do. It just, yeah, I think there's this war going on in a lot of these women's minds where, what does it have to be their idea? Does it have to be, do we have to create this illusion? Like sales works when you can make buying something their idea versus you giving them the idea and them saying yes. It's like they got to come up with it on their own. And then it's like, oh yeah, I totally came up with this. And it's like, cool, man, you can have all the credit. I don't care. Like it's your money in my pocket. Like, is there any way to, I mean, is there any sort of way to do this that it gets to these women's head? Because I just don't know if there is. I don't, because it's like, you can tell these women, hey, these guys aren't going to want you. But it's like, well, she's like, well, look at my Instagram inbox. It's like flooded. I got 500 unread messages and my kid is everywhere. And it's like, these dudes they don't care. Like they'll come after me. I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer to it.
Yeah, we've got feminism and female choice up against like a generation of weak men and simps, and it's just like a fucking recipe for disaster. Because like we used to solve this problem, and it's part of the nature of women. The nature of women is they want a leader, they want to submit, they want to turn their brain off in the things that men should be handling. They want this desperately. The only type of man that's going to give them that is a man who could also, if he wanted to, manipulate the fuck out of her. So like he's always going to be able to run circles around her. That is like the nature of being able to lead and guide, right? If he couldn't convince her of some shit that's not true, right? If he couldn't convince her to do something that was bad for her to do, he definitely can't convince her to do something that's good for her to do. So like by nature, women cannot choose men. Like it's just their fucking nature. They're gonna pick a guy that can manipulate her if she wanted. So we used to solve this. Fathers were the screening process, right? And now, like, in some cultures that I don't love, fathers are like much more so the screening process, like full on arranged marriages, like we talked on the show last night, whether you like it or not. But we had a bit of a different vetting process by fathers, like in Western cultures, which was that dad had the veto stamp, right? So it's like, go find a guy, have him take you to dinner, don't spread your legs, bring him home to meet me. And like, if I decide, I will veto him or not. And I think that works phenomenally because women are never going to be able to make this decision. Like I said, by the nature, the man must be able to lead her or she's not drawn to him. And if he can lead her, he can lead her to fuck shit. And that's usually what happens. And then we have the other side of it that is in modernity, because I've sat across the table at a restaurant from a woman. This is more than once, and had tons of conversations. Like a woman that has a child from another man. And like, I ask her, what's the deal with your kid's dad? And she's like, oh, he's a piece of shit, blah, 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 right? All the shit. And I'm like, is he around and is he trying to be? And she's like, he pays me child support. He shows up whenever he wants. And I'm like, I can't continue talking to you because like, in the eyes of God, you're married because the man has not abandoned you and the children completely, right? So like you should, so I tell them like, I think the best thing for you to do is try to reconcile with him instead of looking for new men. And the women, they like self-destruct, dude.
Yeah, they can't
It's
handle it.
unbelievable. And the reason they self-destruct is because there's a line of 50 men that want to fuck them that will tell them whatever they want to hear instead and have no intention of anything serious with her. And her father's not going to make her not fuck them. So, like, it's working for them also. And in the end of this, like, all that happens is women get annihilated, basically. Like, women just get totally fucking cooked. And like that's what feminism's wrought. And like a lot of these men that will tell it, this is a vast majority of men will tell a single mom whatever she wants to hear to get in bed to fuck her, and then whatever after that happens. And most of these men, how they got there was dad was a piece of furniture and mom ran him. That's why they're like, I don't care like about doing what's right, because like this no one's holding this chick accountable, no one's making her do the right thing. Why would I do the right thing? So yeah, it's like if all women like defaulted their choices with men to their fathers and all men stopped being simps, this would disappear overnight. But we have like these two
quite the tall
things.
order.
Yeah, these two things are just you know, they just feed each other so much.
Claudia had a question here I thought it was interesting. What if the father lives separate in another house to work and pay the family bills and sees his family every few months? I think that is still good. I've never bought, I mean, I couldn't really say this until now. I think the idea of buying a separate house that you live in while your mom or your mom, while your woman like raises kids is fucking stupid. Like I don't ever, I don't believe in that. Like especially like every few months. You know, there are ways to create separation, and there's a way to create space artificially in your relationship, in your marriage, if that's what you're going to do. But like kids need parents around, and they need to see their parents around, and they need to see them interacting with one another, and they need to see like the father leading the household. They need to see a mother who is fawning over the father. They need to see a strong father who is making decisions and who is managing his relationship and his marriage in real time, so they can soak that stuff up and learn it. Like kids are sponges. So, I mean, you know, not being around, like they're going to associate men with guys they can't depend on, guys they can't trust in. They're going to get closer to the mother, and they're going to default. It's like, I just don't understand it. I've never understood what the difference is between being like, why be a dad 50% of the time if you can be a dad 100% of the time? It's just never made any sense to me.
I think it's kind of fine. Now obviously like you're coming home, I mean, what was it, a couple times a month? Sees his family every few months, like that's odd. But like the dad that's a truck driver and is on the road 5 nights a week, I think that's actually not a problem.
Well, I mean, if it's like if there's a job or there's a career that needs that, I'm saying like if a guy is doing it for some other reason other than it's providing for the family, he's like weirdly creating this space. He's like, I'm gonna live separately from you to play defense rather than go on offense. That's how I look at it. I think there's a difference.
Yeah, I think men that are home 7 nights a week, like they go to their 9 to 5, they come home and they spend the weekends hanging out with their family. I think those men probably are not going to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. So like, yeah, you shouldn't be like have a separate house and be fucking playing video games, right? But like if you have a separate house that you live at with like 3 guys in your inner circle, and this is like you guys go there 5 days a week to work. Like this is your shared home office. Maybe you run a business together, whatever it is, right? Same thing with like traveling. You know, if you go on a 10-day backcountry trip, like this is going to make you better. Now, if you're going if you're going to go like to the Super Bowl and spend 2 weeks in Vegas, that's fucking retarded.
Right.
So I do think that distance and space, whatever, makes the heart grow fonder. I think there is something to that with fathers as well. I think like a father's um, guidance and love and even like scorn, distance makes it more powerful, and separation and like scarcity of it. Now, obviously, there's extremes, right? Like, there's a lot of families in Asia, um, like really successful men in Southeast Asia that have shipping companies, and they'll have a shipping company that's in Thailand, and they'll have a shipping, like the other part of their shipping company is in the Philippines. And it's actually quite common for them to have two families, because they'll spend 3 months here, 3 months there, 3 months here, 3 months there, like half the year here, half the year there. And they video time with their kids and, FaceTime with their kids and all this kind of stuff. That's like one of the more common, like high net worth. Because if a guy is going to be in another country for 6 months out of the year, like what's it better for him to do? Have another family that he is capable of supporting, or do a bunch of stupid shit that wastes time, right? Like it's better for him to have wife number two, I think, if he's capable of doing so. So yeah, it's like manufacturing it is weird as fuck. Like manufacturing the if a guy's ever thinking like I need to manufacture distance, I need to manufacture like the counter of exclusivity, familiarity, and proximity, that's weird. Like the answer is you should actually have, like, instead of getting a house to hang out with on the weekend, like get a house that you're going to live at with your 3 business partners and you're going to build a new business. Like there should be a purpose to this, right? Like if it's not making you money, if it's not making you into a better man, like this is stupid. And like if a man has time to manufacture it, spend time doing
It's
things
time to
away
do
from
real
your
shit.
family that make you better instead.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, manufacturing is weird, but
yeah, I've always said that. I mean, again, like I think we probably know who we're both talking about, but like that's a solution that we both know a guy who was like, yeah, I'm going to buy a separate house and I'm just going to hang out there. And it's like, what are you doing? Like you're playing video games and like jerking off 3 nights a week instead of going and doing, like, if you're going to have that time and space, right, go do something useful. Because I agree, like men have always gone off on voyages, men have always gone on like the hunts and been gone for days or weeks, maybe even months at a time, and they've come back. And then also, it makes the time that you are there more powerful. It makes your presence more impactful. It's because it's scarcity. So yeah, I mean, I've even seen for the most part, like the guys that I've seen that are in the most successful LTRs and marriages are ones where they're like traveling salesmen, or they're going out and they're doing stuff, once a month, where they've got to be away from home 3, 4, 5 days out of the month or a little more. And even if they are cohabitating, like they're doing things during the day, like they're going to work or they're going on different things. They're not like sitting around the house being a piece of furniture and just like having their wife go like, oh, oh, really? Like you got some Zoom calls today? Like, is that what you got going on? So in any case, yeah, I mean, like, God bless her, Deb. Like,
oh, help us.
we don't do man caves. Like my house is my entire man cave. It's my castle. Like if a guy has to retreat to an area of his house to like get solitude, then he's probably spending too much time at home. But I know she's a sweetheart. I know she doesn't mean by that. But when we think man caves, we're thinking about like sports jerseys on the wall and like beer on tap and like TVs on everything. It's just like, no, maybe a home gym can be your man cave, I guess, but that's not really like a man cave. But yeah, that's always something that gets brought up, and guys will like show it off, and they're so proud of it. It's like, oh, this is where I am every Sunday for 12 hours. It's like, dude, this is insanely like an insane waste of time and money.
Yeah, I think this is something that a lot of remote work guys have a problem with or like bump into, is that I think it's good for a father, for a man, even like that's in an LTR with a woman with no kids. I think the man should be away from his woman or family minimum one weekend a month and 2 nights a week. So like the weekend a month you're gone, it's not Saturday, Sunday. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then like basically every weekend you're not home, or every Monday, Tuesday, you're not home. And like the reason should be is because you're out there making money. Like, so for example, for me, Monday and Tuesday, I wake up at like 7 in the morning and I literally don't have an hour in the day until my head hits the pillow. So why am I going to be, I can't be at home once I have kids. Like, so I'm not going to be coming home and getting less productive. Like, I'm going to grind it out Monday and Tuesday, not be home with my kids. And then like, that's what allows me to have the homestead, right? And like be the man that the women respect and the children look up to. So like if you're able to play, and especially when the kids are young, man, like if you're able to play Mr. Mom, you're not fucking busy enough. Like go chase some excellence.
Yeah, 100%. And a question here: do you guys believe in? I'm guessing this is the abandoned dad, or abandoning dad, or the deadbeat dad, or do you believe that is a myth? I, I mean, there's definitely guys out there that don't like the women they have kids with. I've always said that. Like, I think it's very rare for you to find a guy that is not interested in being in his kid's life or being a dad. There are plenty of guys out there that are not interested in, it's like, it's not worth them being in the kid's life, or it's not worth dealing with the woman they had kids with. That's generally how I think. Like, good co-parenting is, I think, when both parents have to come into it with an expectation and they're able to get on amicably. But yeah, for the most part, like, I've never, like, we got a lot of guys that have been divorced in our brotherhood, in our group, and a lot of them got kids, and I've never met a single one that's just like, yeah, man, I knocked this girl up, I got a couple of kids, but I don't really care about them. Even guys that have kids that are far away and that are tough to see, like, it's not like they don't want to be around their kids. It's like they're like, I just can't stand the woman that I had, kids with. But like, you brought up a point a couple of weeks ago where it's like, men need to maybe suck it up, and it's like, that's the burden you bear, man. If like, that's the suck that you need to bear, because women certainly aren't going to do it. Like, if there's going to come down to a choice where it's like, if you're going to have kids with somebody you don't like, and if it's best to be with that person for your kid, like, it's not going to be the woman who does it. So it's going to have to be the man. But I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I think I understand like what this person's asking is, what this person asking basically is, so many women say there's a deadbeat dad, they're abandoned, whatever. Is that the percentage, or is it like they caused a lot of this? And I think like the women did cause a lot of this. But we do have men that just abandon their children and are fucking deadbeats. And like typically these are the men that should be in jail or like being forced to labor. Like those are the same type of men. So it's like your gangbangers, your drug dealers, the fucking musician that like gets groupies pregnant, and he's like couch surfing. Like, so there are deadbeat men, and like they're fucking broke. They have no skills. They don't give, like, a lot of them are criminals. A lot of them are drug addicts. A lot of them are like homeless ish. And these men should all be in jail or in forced labor camps. Like, we can't have this shit in our society. It makes no sense. Like, the idea that a man is like a grown man, somebody else must labor to feed him. That's insanity. Like, no, like, if you need help from the government and you're a grown ass man, like, here's the labor camp, help yourself. And then if they won't go work, then we throw them in jail, right? So like, these men do exist, and we make them work in jail. But it's not the percentage of what we hear deadbeat dads, right? And it's like, what do you do, right? So like, my personal belief is I'm going to be the best man that I can be. And like, the women that are in my life that are on my program, like, I will give them more grace, right? Like, especially once they have children with them, like, I'm not gonna bend and be a bitch, right? But I'm not gonna be like, we have an argument and that's it, right? I'm gonna be like, how can I make her not like I'm gonna have guys pointing my face at my blind spots, right? But I'm also gonna be thinking about it, right? Like, this happened. Like, what did I do? Like, it wasn't about the socks, right? Like, what am I not doing that's making her slowly become unattracted to me that she's gonna complain about the socks, right? So maybe like I only have children with one woman, and we have 5 kids. We've got the fucking homestead, like we're hand washing the clothing, and like she's just worn out, right? Like it's a lot. Like I'm not home 5 nights a week. I'm gone for 10 days in the woods. Maybe I hire her an au pair, right? So things like that. But and this is one of the things that it's really tricky. Like if a woman is gonna like totally step off my program. So if she's like, I can't handle the homeschooling, it's just too much. Like, I'll get some help. We're not sending the fucking kids to public school, though. If she's like, fuck you, we're sending the kids to public school, then I have to burn it down, right? Like, I can't sign off on it, right? There are things that I can solve, like bumps we can get over, but like the fundamental core values, if she tries to pivot or walk it back on those, like, I can't sign off on something that's going to damage my children. So at that point, and this is one of the things with me, having children with multiple women, is I can't be like fighting her in court and spending tens of thousands of dollars and my time and my sanity, and like this is going to stress me out, so I'm not going to be able to lead and guide as well for the women that are on my program and the children I have with them, right? So at that point, you just have to be like, hey, when you change your mind, you know where to find me, right? But until then, like, you ain't getting shit. Go to court, whatever, figure it out. But yeah, I think men need to be willing to burn it down. There's no other way to it. Like, the reason we are where we are as a society is because men don't say no, and they're not willing to die. So back in the day when the government was like, hey, knock, knock, we're doing this, all the men in the town were like, fuck that, get the muskets, right? And men don't do that now. Right. And I think that's why we have so many problems, or one of the reasons why we have so many problems.
Yeah, there's a few reasons. Let's talk a little bit about Alexis' situation. So for the audience, for you guys that were not on the show last night, we have a 31-year-old woman who is a botanist. She sells plants, I guess is her thing. So she's been in a 9-year open relationship with a man, open on her side, not his side. And now, for the last 6 years, she has a girlfriend that she doesn't share with her boyfriend. And her girlfriend also has a boyfriend. And then they weirdly live together in some kind of like apartment complex or something. I think I caught that part where they're like live near each other on top of each other. But like, she doesn't hang out with her girlfriend's boyfriend, and her girlfriend doesn't hang out with her boyfriend. And I something just didn't add up for me. Like I kept going back and forth. Like, you and I talked about this today, because it's like, when she first met this guy, it was 9 years ago. He was like a DJ at a club. He said he was cleaning up, getting a whole bunch of women. He was like that guy. And now all of a sudden he just sits at home all day, and he plays on the computer, and he does his like little like architect, whatever the fuck, like, engineering stuff. And like, it seems that she's saying how awesome this guy is, but at the same time, can't tell her what to do, like only does what she wants. She said live on air, like he's vanilla, which I don't know any guy out there who would be, excited to hear that, because men generally have pride associated and attached to their sexual prowess. But she said like, hey, there's stuff that I would try with my girlfriend, or I would get special time with my girlfriend that I'm not getting with my boyfriend. So, yeah, like, there's just a lot of stuff that was just, on one hand, it's like, if he told me no, I would say okay. And then on the other hand, it was like, well, if he told me no, then he would have to explain to me why. And I ultimately do what I want. I wouldn't listen to him. So, I mean, the only thing for me that was maybe a silver lining is like, yeah, we're not going to have kids. I was like, oh, well, I think that's probably smart. But yeah, what do you make of that whole thing?
Man, I think she's so fucking close. I think she's like, obviously, like we all have our issues and we all have like the things in our life, um, the baggage in our life that we need to just put down and walk away from, but usually we fucking can't. And you see that come through with everyone. And like I found that men through their unplugging process that will be lifelong students, and can check their fucking egos a bit, are the ones that are able to put that shit down and walk away and then see the other people that are unable to do so. So like she's got her issues. We all got our fucking issues, right? Um, but she's like so close to like the raw, natural female energy. It's like, I want to call her based, right? Where I'm like, this chick knows, man, because she even said, right. And I was trying to see if this was the case because I kind of had the feeling that it was really early on when she was talking about the situation, where I was like, what if your man wanted to be like the man with you and your girlfriend, and like neither are you allowed to ever see other guys? You can bring more women in the bedroom if you want. We'll have fun. Before your girlfriend got her man, and she was like, oh, I fucking wish.
Yeah.
She melted into
He
like,
said no to that. He was like
he was
one.
he was like, no, I don't want to hurt you or some shit.
When
Man,
she
it's
was
so
the one
bizarre.
that propositioned him. This, and again, this was her words. She essentially said in the beginning of their relationship, I guess he was like screwing around with
Yeah.
other women, and I guess she didn't like that. But didn't she even say that later on in the conversation? She said if he wanted to go out and get some strange, I think she said she'd be okay with it, right? Or
Well,
maybe
and
she said no
what's
eventually.
funny,
I can't remember.
so she had like this little fighting. There's like a little bit of fighting about it, which I wonder like if that came out through her man's, whatever you want to call it, like his change from the DJ to the tech bro. And that's like influencing kind of his state of mind and view on it. But she had like this little fighting to it. But she said like things slipped out past
Yeah.
like the what's acceptable to say. And one of them was like, well, as long as I get, like you said,
She said, as long as I get to join
yes.
along, brings me
Well,
along.
no, so you're like, you can't be there. And she was like, do I at least get to watch? Right. So like she's openly admitting that it like nothing would turn her on more than watching a video of her man fucking another chick.
Or
And
watching
like
it.
this is the nature of women. So yeah, there's so much in it that was like kind of based. But it's also like a complex situation. I think part of it is because she, whatever, can't have kids for some reason. And I think there's something else in there for guys to take note of. If he is like a softer, kinder, less exciting man that he was when he was a DJ, and like the initial reaction is like, that's weird. Why is she still with him? Right? Like, why, if he got beta-tized or whatever you want to call it, why didn't she leave? And it's possible that like the image of him in her mind is still of like this Giga Chad DJ that he once was, because guys will see the reverse of this when like they were a dork at the start of the relationship and they unplug and level up massively, and the chick that they dragged along with them, this holdover LTR is what I call it, still doesn't respect them like a new chick does. So I think that could be the case as well. And this is advice for guys that like you need to find a chick, because we're all going to get softer over time. Like we have kids, we get more familial, whatever it is, right? Find a chick that is like, you're a DJ banging all the dancers at the club and she's still fucking with you, because that's what this girl was, right? So like you got to find a chick that's that into you, so that even if you go full tech bro playing video games or whatever the situation is, she still has like, she remembers this, right? She remembers this guy that in the beginning, especially when this stuff's most important, was like extremely attractive to her.
I wonder though that I think it's more likely, because like think about this, like for 3 years, it was just him and her, which is long enough, certainly long enough. And I don't know if the career change happened within that time frame, but that's certainly long enough to get beta-tized, to become a doormat. So now she finds this other chick who she admits that she goes and spends time with when he's not paying attention to her, and she's does more adventure, like sexually adventurous things with this other chick. Like, this to me is just like alpha seed beta neat. Like, she's satisfying her desires and to want to be like with the hot chick, or with the, I guess, like, or with like have these, rip roaring good times, and then she gets to go back to the guy that like pays for things and provides. And I'm sure she does. I don't know how much money you can make selling plants. I know she models and does shit on the side too, but I don't know. I kind of look at it like that. It's like, if this guy is the Chad still in her eyes and he's the DJ, then why even branch out in the first place? The only reason I would think that a woman needs to even look elsewhere is because she's not getting fulfilled. Like, that guy's slowly getting beta-tized, because she's not with this girl saying, oh yeah, she like is a provider and she's a protector. It's like, we have great sex and we put ice cubes in places and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't buy it as much as that she still sees him as she did 9 years ago. I see more likely that it's like she's got him around her finger and it's like she's sitting on a winning lottery ticket. Why mess it up, especially if she can go play with other chicks?
Yeah, I don't think she sees him the same either, but I think it's like there's still like traces of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dark magic leaves traces, man.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I would have loved to have that guy on. I don't know. Maybe that's something we should consider. I don't know if we should have like couples on or anything that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, maybe that would add a layer of complexity that we don't want. Because I'm pretty sure he chimed in the chat and he was like, "Oh, her husband or boyfriend loves her very much." I was like, bro, I can't believe that you're in here right now.
I think couples therapy. I think there is space for men to coach men and women in an unplugged way in like a couples therapy setting. But I think the sessions have to be separate, because like the man must tell the man shit that the woman can't hear. She can't see behind the fucking curtain.
Right.
And then she also can't be there to like try to tell her side of the story
and
then,
argue.
Like, the man has to get her alone and be like, look, how do you really think this makes your husband feel? Like, do you even consider what he feels at all, where she can like actually spurg out without him being there? But like with this girl that was on the show last night, I do think there is something. I've seen it. I've seen like the hints of it, the evidence of it, the traces of it, where women that are with a man who's it's shit tests essentially, is what this is. Where like women will like amp things up as basically a cry for help to the man, where it's like, I wonder if he was the leader of her and her girlfriend, and he put them both in their place, like in a leadership perspective, dominated them as well. Like he was the fucking top hog, man.
Clip that. Let's go ahead and make that a clip.
And like I wonder if she would have gotten like less experimental, like less he doesn't tell me, I do whatever the fuck I want, right? Like I think to a certain extent, this I do whatever the fuck I want, he doesn't get to tell me what to do, is like a cry for help, right? That she's like, and all the women basically on the panel, when we talked about, you're going to do it whether you like it or not, like all of them like started melting.
They were like, oh yeah, I would love a guy to do that. Oh yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
You could see even when they were like, like this thing didn't drop and they were like arguing against it, you could see they're actually into it, right? They're like, it's like one of those like, oh my God, you're so bad, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the objection to it. Yeah, I think that the show last night showcased a crazy amount of female nature in a really interesting way.
Yeah,
the guys
agree.
That can see it.
And that's the thing, like, and that's why we do it. We're never going to be these guys that are like talking about all this dumb shit and like calling women out or like holding women accountable or whatever. They don't care. But this is the show is I think now doing what it was always meant to do, which is just to highlight female nature. And, for guys that are watching this stuff and that kind of know this stuff and need more examples, like we'll give you great examples every week. The guys that are arguing with us, it's like, dude, it's right here in black and white. And the only reason you're against this, or the only reason you're seeing this and you still want to argue with us, it's because you just can't handle the truth. But yeah, I think last night was a and you even said this to me, Dave, like this girl's like begging to be put in her place, right? Like she's so outlandish and she's so loud and boisterous and out with it that she's like going to a bar and like starting a fight, or like just standing in the corner and yelling and throwing shit. And it's just like, she's waiting. Like, is anybody going to come over here and stop me? Like, is anybody going to come over and just pop me one and like throw me through a freaking plate glass window for being such a pain in the ass? Like, no, and they won't. So yeah. And it's just this, I use a lot of logic, which is probably my mistake, but you could just see how, um, we are so open and honest as men, and especially men with the brotherhood, where, and I was having a conversation with somebody about this today, where it's like, dude, like I've got a ton of guys that are checking my blind spots. I got a ton of guys where I'm like, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that? And it'll be like, that's fucking stupid. Or like, this is a good idea. If I was out on an island completely by myself, I was like, I don't guarantee that every time I make a decision, it's a good one. I could have very well intentions and I could make the wrong call. That's just part of being a fallible human. But the female experience is quite different, because you're growing up and you're being told that no matter what you do, you're making the right call, or somebody is always there to pick up after you and clean up your mistakes and tell you it's not your fault. And that's why, like, I hate these people that pander to women, and it's just like, oh, it's not him, it's not you, he's like too emotionally mature, he can't like handle a girl like you. I mean, it's a parody at this point. But it's just this idea that, to think that you'll never make a mistake, or to think that you're perfectly capable of doing everything completely on your own, and a guy that would literally take a bullet for you, who does it because he can't, like, they have these negative connotations and these negative opinions of the men that they're fucking dating and that they're choosing to lay down with and potentially have kids with. It's like, you'll have kids with him, you'll live in his house, you'll take his money and spend it, but you won't listen to him when he tells you no. Like, you would expect him to accept the responsibility of giving his life for yours. And they tried to waffle on that. So like, no, I would give my life. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, you wouldn't. Like, we all know that you inherently would expect your man to give his life up for you, because you're not going to be with that guy otherwise. So all of these things, and you still are, I'm going to go stay out till 6 in the fucking morning because I'm out like clubbing in Vegas. I mean, it really is baffling when all of that stuff adds up and they just don't see how it's completely ass backwards.
Yeah, and I mean, we used to have, we used to have, women were dependent on men for daily survival.
Yeah,
and they no longer are. And so, like, obviously, women didn't evolve to to navigate a world in which they're not dependent on men. So we never, like, these traits that are fucked up nowadays never got selected out, right? So like now they're burying their head, right? We're seeing like there was never a time in history where women had to make had to make a very important decision that could, wreck her fucking life, because she was either under the protection and provisioning of her father or husband, or she was dead, right? So like the women making bad decisions and like having to figure out the consequences, we never selected that out, right? Men always did that. So like now when women can go make their own decisions that can potentially be very life altering, like they don't have this thing that men do. And it's the same thing like with like women never evolved to like make like it's all the same thing, like risky decisions, revolutionary ideas, blazing a trail, changing the status quo, right? Like women never evolved to do this. And the men that did this oftentimes had a huge genetic legacy. So we're doing all these things that, and a lot of people don't understand this, right? Like a lot of people can have conversations about, oh, well, women like tall guys because tall guys used to be able to bonk other shorter guys on the head with sticks better. And it's like, but that's like very surface level evo psych as to how we got here. The rest of it is like we're navigating stuff, like we're basically allowing, I guess, we should call it, women to have to navigate things that they're not wired to navigate. And like most of the cause of this is women don't have to rely on men for those things anymore, because we've made life so great that women can essentially survive like without ever having to submit to a man and do anything he says. Now you have the argument like, oh, she's got to go to work for her boss. It's like, yeah, we've like outsourced women's submission to men to like society as a whole. But like, she doesn't have to do what a man says or not to get through the winter, right? Like, she just has to show up to work on time, and then pay men to help her get through the winter.
Well, and I mean, they can't see what's so blatantly and painfully obvious to guys like us, where it's like they are being manipulated by the millions under the guise of freedom and equality. I mean, you take a look at how women are manipulated in terms of politics and the things that they vote for. You see how they're manipulated as far as consumer spending. Like the thing we brought up last night was like the whole credit card thing. This gets brought up a lot. Now, women couldn't even have credit. It's like women couldn't incur debt until like the 70s, right? And it's because women weren't getting credit cards because it was the man who, it would just go to the husband. And we see how giving women an opportunity to incur debt has been a colossal failure. But to them, the win is freedom, because it's like women are accounting for 2/3 of student debt. They have most of the credit card debt. And it's like, you're talking about financial slavery being dressed up as financial freedom. And it's because for women just do not want to be told what to do. They just don't. They want to be able to do everything they want to do. They don't ever want to be told no. They want to do whatever the men are allowed to do. And I was talking about this today on my show. I talked a little bit about last night, where it's like, men need to your point, like men need to start telling women no. Like, you can't come into our fucking house. Like, you can't come into our space. This is not for you. It has nothing to do with you. Like, how many comments did I get every time I'd run a reel about us doing some Algonquin? Like, oh, like, can women come? Like, oh, when are you going to do one for women? I'm like, I'm fucking not. You bitches have enough stuff already. Like, you have enough things. You need to leave us alone. Like, you wouldn't even let us have gyms. You wouldn't even let us have video games. It's like, if men decided that eating dog shit was popular tomorrow, women would find a way to get into that space and start eating dog shit until it's not cool anymore. I mean, it's just the way, things are. And it's why women hate the whole red pill thing, because it's by definition exclusionary. And even then they were able to come into that space. That's why red pill's so gay now, because the biggest people in the space and the most recognized creators or influencers or whatever you want to call them are fucking women, right? Like, it's Pearl Davis going on fucking Piers Morgan and going on like debates when all she did was rip off ideas that other men had come up with 25 years ago. But I digress. So it's like, until men are, willing to tell women no, and they're willing to not give in to both men and women calling them gay or lame or stupid for getting together and doing things with men and joining a tribe and a brotherhood, this stuff's just going to keep continuing. But yeah, it's just the way that things are right now.
Yeah, and it's so I think like the brainwashing has it's been much less on the like women can do whatever men can do, like, yeah, go be independent. I think the brainwashing has been much more focused on, but like you see women's reactions to this, right? Like, that's where the brainwashing is where their most visceral reaction to it is the idea that a man telling a woman what she should or shouldn't do is bad Like, is like he's doing it to do something bad to the woman. This is where women all jump to immediately, right?
Yeah.
They're like, what if he's abusive? Right? Immediately they jump here, right? They think like the reason that like they shouldn't listen to men is because they're gonna get hurt. And I think that's where like the feminist brainwashing has gone. Primarily, and the rest of it is just kind of what came with it. And I mean, we have all this like sexual orientation and gender and all this, you know, fucking garbage partner. All of that stuff's kind of fed into it too. But like women have really been convinced that something bad will happen to them if they depend on a man. And a vast majority of the time, that's not the case. And of the small amount of time that it is the case, so it's like if 90% of women generally have a good life, if they like listen to a man and like reject the materialism and all the bullshit, right? The 10% that have a bad time, that are with bad guys, 90% of those guys grew up in a fatherless fucking home. Like the 90% of those guys, the bad guys, are guys their father should have told them not to spread their legs for in the first place. These are guys that should not have been allowed to reproduce. So yeah, it's just, but then like women immediately, when you're like, you should do what your man says, they're like scared, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, what if he leaves me? What, like, this is not what usually happens, but like they've been convinced that like men are evil, right? And not like men are why we have electricity and running water, and like men,
and we even asked them last night,
thousands,
right? We even asked them last night. The question was like, why do you think your guy is telling you not to do something or to do something? And over all of them were like, because he cares. It's like, so what's the fucking problem? Right? Like the answer wasn't even because he wants to manipulate me, because he wants me, you know, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
I think we only got that answer because Celine answered first.
True.
And that's what she said.
And then everybody else is just going to go off.
Yeah.
See, that's what's interesting about these panel shows, because it's like, it's really tough because the first woman to, like, I mean, I was watching, you know, I get these clips that pop up, but it's like they were asking a panel of women, you know, if you had to pick one, I think it was a whatever episode that Charlie Kirk was on. And it's like, if you had to pick one, like loving family and mother, or like career boss bitch for the rest of your life, which one? And the first woman said marriage and kids. And then all the women around the table said the exact same thing. So it's like, there's no real way to know. It's like, how do we do this? Like, raise your hand on the count of three if, or I don't know, like all the women do this and then we ask you one by one. But if nothing else, if you're reading between the lines, you can see like, this is the power of groupthink. This is the power of going along to getting along. It's just women don't even want to disagree with people that they just met, much less like family members and friends and things like that. So, but yeah, but even then, and you kind of knew I think you're spot on that it's like they answered that way because Celine went first, because then they just contradicted that like 5 minutes later by saying, if he tells me what to do, I'm going to tell him to go fuck himself. It's like, so either you don't think he actually is looking out for you, or you hate your guy so much that you'll give him the finger, even though you know he's doing it for a good reason. Right. So yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, why is he telling you not to do this? Because he cares about me and he knows more. Like, I'm with him because he makes better decisions than I can make. Otherwise, she wouldn't be with him.
Right.
And he cares about me and I trust his guidance. So, like, that's why he's telling me what to do. And then he tells her what to do. It's like, you don't get to tell me what to do.
Exactly.
And I'm like, are you like,
what are we doing?
It's like masochism, right? It's just like her saying like, I want bad things to happen to me. I would rather have bad things happen to me than listen to what my man says. It's fucking mind blowing, right?
Yeah, it really is. It just defies all logic. Let's see this last one here. My curiosity is some of the women that can't listen to them, because this is a question that came up last night. Is some of the women that can't listen to their men have some kind of past trauma or baggage they can't face or get over? They aren't able to be healthy in a relationship. I don't know. I mean, I think it has to do with the brainwashing that we talk about. I don't know if it's like baggage or past trauma and things like that, because it's like I think you're seeing this with a ton of women. I think you're seeing this with women that are not in relationships. I think you're seeing this with young women. I think you're seeing this all over the place. So, I mean, I have no idea. Like, I'm not a psychologist, and I also think like past trauma and past baggage is I think women actually enjoy carrying that stuff around. I think that a lot of them use it as some sort of like badge of honor and they use it as a flex. They love to talk about how their past trauma and how like everything they've been through. Like women love to play the victim. They love to, it's almost like a competition, like who can be the bigger victim, because if you're the biggest victim wins. And if you're the biggest victim, then you get the spoils. So, that's maybe, but I'm not as interested in that. Like, I don't think that it doesn't matter because for the right guy, we've talked about this before. Like for that guy, unless she's completely, one-shotted, there are certain red flags that you can fall that'll kind of correct themselves for the right guy. So, baggage, trauma, I think a lot of those are just buzzwords that women like to throw around just to say like, hey, I'm allowed to have this ace in the hole, ace up my sleeve, that if I'm ever acting shitty, I can just say, oh, it's because like I have past baggage and trauma, and you're just supposed to deal with it. You just have to accept that. And it's like having a kid in tow. It's like, well, you can't get rid of the kid. Well, and you can't get rid of your baggage and your trauma either. It's just like this, it's the bag of bricks that they carry around like it's a badge, like people care, but the guy that is going to care and play Captain Save-A-Ho is not the guy you want, and the guy that's that you want is not going to care about your bag of bricks.
Yeah, I think in our modern society, and I think it's a product of human intelligence. We like try to intellectualize like this desire almost for us to change our nature. Because to admit that we do have a nature and that we do have a lizard brain, that's going to drive a lot of our decisions. And it usually drives us actually to quite good decisions. Interestingly enough, like to
Get
admit
away from
that,
bad ones.
Yeah, and this is like part of the issue I have with this like idea of American rugged individualism and libertarianism and all this shit is like, I think that's a bunch of shit basically, because it's like, oh, I'm an individual person and I can be whatever I want to be and I can do whatever I want to do, and like the whatever how I was born doesn't define me. It's like, no, it does, and it should, right? Because like the better you can lean into your strengths, the more successful you're going to be. And we see this like the women that try to be men and the men that try to be women. Like the women that are engaged, that don't have children and are engaged in the highest levels of like competing with men, are the number one users of SSRIs.
Yep.
So like, and then the men that like aren't building things, that aren't chasing excellence, that aren't strong, that aren't lethal, these are the men that are the number one, self-deleting. We don't use SSRIs much anyways because it's gay, right? At least we're holding on to that part of masculinity at least. But yeah, so like we have this nature and like this ties back into this idea of baggage or trauma. And like a lot of what I think baggage and trauma does is the baggage and trauma, like we go looking for solutions a lot of times that aren't actually there. And it's like, it's just this happened. And how can we prevent it from happening again in a way that doesn't like impact future shit negatively, objectively? And so I think a lot of baggage and trauma is like this nurture and this intellectualizing that like takes us further and further from our lizard brain. And like that's why it can be damaging. I think there's people that go through shit, and women too, that have trauma and baggage and bad shit happens to them, that makes them realize the shit they were sold is bullshit and pushes them towards the lizard brain more. Like it helps them. but at the same time, like women are not equipped to
Right.
suffer like men are. So I think trauma and baggage oftentimes really, really breaks women. Like men are anti-fragile, right? Like the more trauma a man incurs, typically the better he is at being a man.
Come back
But
stronger.
what makes a good woman? Like what defines a woman that's good at being a woman? Like she's nurturing, she's caring, she's soft, she's demure, she's loving, she's sweet, she's trusting, right? She's able to be led. So if a woman's trauma or baggage makes her not trust men and like makes her not want to be led by a man, then that's going to make her be less good of a woman, because a good woman will trust a man. Like without that, you can't have harmony in a family, right? You can't have a leader.
Well said. Yeah, man. I think we're good to wrap up on that note. We're about an hour and 10 in. Yeah, good stuff. Anything you want to say to the people before we wrap up? Anything you got going on?
Oh man, been so busy. Yeah, if you guys want to get the raw and unfiltered and not safe for YouTube, and also like you can ask a question and we can go down this fucking rabbit hole in like we're very, even though we're quite non-politically correct on here on YouTube, we're still like 5 steps up political correctness from
mild.
what we can do on a private Zoom.
Yeah.
Like the raw male and female nature, like you just get fucking kicked straight off YouTube if you talk about it. So yeah, get in the academy. It's $25 a month. Once a month I do a call in there, and you can even be like that. You can get like your, dip your toe in the water with the brotherhood, because like the calls I do in there, brotherhood guys are on them as well. It's a split call. So you can see like get a taste of what the brotherhood guys are like and be like, fuck yeah, I need to be around these guys. Right. But it's $25 a month. You ask whatever the fuck you want. And they're at least, at the times they're not necessarily valuable. Like we do talk about bullshit sometimes on there. It's at least a lot of fun. And you can get the shit out that you can't talk about basically anywhere.
100%. Yeah. Academy's $25 a month, guys. I mean, I said earlier on my show, if you haven't caught that, we're going to start opening up some brotherhood spots on meetups to non-members. It's going to be an opportunity for guys to kind of try it out, see if it's something so if you've ever seen our Algonquin clips, the MMA meetup, our full spectrum warrior shooting events down in Florida, like the stuff we do out in San Diego and much, much more, there's going to be opportunities to get involved with that. So, follow me on Instagram, keep up with the Instagram page there, and DM me directly if that's something you've ever been interested in. But really excited about it because we want to get guys in, and it's I talked about today, like it's never been more important to get out in person and actually meet with guys, like the dudes that you need to call at 3 a.m. when you've got, a body on your floor and they need to show up with shovels. They're not going to be guys that you only know through Instagram or Discord or Telegram or in like a little group. It's going to be guys that you've met with, you've broken bread with, trained with, bled with, sweat with, shared all of the things that you need to share amongst men to be taken seriously as a member of the tribe and a member of the circle. So you guys know where to find us. If you need help with anything, shoot us DMs. There's going to be some things that might be working on over the next couple of weeks to make it a little easier for you guys to ask questions and get direct feedback that's not directly on a call or directly on a live. So stay tuned for more on that. But if nothing else, we'll see you guys same time, same place next week, back to the normal schedule on Monday. We will have a special guest, at least one, if not two, on the Monday show. So make sure you guys click the reminder of that. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you know when we go live. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And as always, leave questions, comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff really helps us out and spread the message. So until then, we'll see you guys on